Hello, everyone. My guest today on CCA's Leadership Development Community Podcast is Charles Cowling, President-elect of the International Actuarial Association and Chief Actuary at Mercer in the UK. My name is Michael Clark, past President of the CCA. And Charles, for this next segment, I do want to talk a bit about the IAA, the International Actuarial Association, especially given your leadership role there. So there are lots of actuarial associations throughout the world, but can you explain what the IAA is and what role it fills for the global actuarial community?
Yeah, sure. So I believe that the IAA fulfills a really important role. It's the association for associations. That's the first key point to make. So it's an association of all of the different actuarial associations around the world. And we exist to serve a number of really important functions. Firstly, to support the development of the actuarial profession, to support developing associations and assist the global development of the profession, particularly in parts of the world where actuarial science is quite new, but generally everywhere, supporting the growth of the profession. So you'll have some parts of the world where certain areas of actuarial knowledge and expertise are very light, and others where they're very strong. By sharing that knowledge, we can help everybody achieve more as a profession.
So you mentioned that the IAA is an association of associations. So meaning, like, unlike the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries or the Society of Actuaries, Casualty Actuarial Society here in the US, where as an individual, you go out and join those organizations. As an individual, I don't go out and join to be a member of the IAA.
So primarily, exactly that. So the Conference of Consulting Actuaries is a member, the Society of Actuaries in the US is a member, the Institute of Faculty of Actuaries in the UK is a member, as are the other actuarial bodies around the world. So our primary focus is associations, but we do allow individuals to join our sections and join as an individual member, but they're slightly different bits of the IAA.
So let's talk about that for a second here. So there are 6 different sections within the IAA. How do the role of those sections differ from the main part of the IAA, which acts more as an association of associations?
So I think it's worth saying that the IAA started out as an association of individuals. I think it was back in 1895, I think it was, the very first Congress of Actuaries got together, and people from all over the world, from Japan and Europe and North America, got together because they wanted to share, they wanted to learn from each other, and they wanted to find out what was going on and what new thinking was happening in other parts of the world. And they recognized the value of getting together. So the sections have been promoting that for individual actuaries for well over 100 years. And they hold webinars, they hold colloquia, they hold congresses for individual actuaries to get together and share stuff. And that's hugely valuable. But it was only about 25 years ago that the IAA decided that there was also a really important role for an organization that was an association of associations. So we've restructured ourselves. So we maintained the individual membership in our sections, but we became an association of associations so that we could help build the global profession, and also so that we could help engage with other big supranational organizations, which was seen as something that was important for individual associations, country associations, that they weren't able to do themselves. They had to pool that together to be able to engage internationally like that.
Yeah, and I do want to come back to that really quick on the sections, just for people's benefits. If someone wants to join a section, the 6 sections that exist out there, and this is from the IAA's website, which is actuaries.org, but there is the financial risks and ERM section. There is a non-life insurance section, a health section, a life insurance section, a consulting section, and a pensions, benefits, and Social Security section. So people that are interested in those sections and what they're doing, you can go check those out on the IAA's website, and you can actually apply to join those as well. There is it's a very nominal fee compared to other actuarial dues that you might pay to join those sections, but and all of them have various benefits as well, and all the things that Charles mentioned. So I'll put a shout out there. I myself am a member of IACA, the International Association of Consulting Actuaries, that section, and there's a lot of good things that happen within the sections.
Yeah, and I thank you, Michael. And I would encourage it. You get huge benefit out of being able to link up with actuaries from different backgrounds.
Yeah, I'd say that might be my most favorite part of this, and the reason why I stay engaged there is just to get to know and interact with actuaries from all over the world, which is great.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
So let's go back to the mission of the IAA, something you were starting to touch on. So when you look on the IAA site and look at their mission in particular, it talks, there's 3 kind of main components to the IAA's mission. It's impact, assure, and advance. And I know this is something that has been developed over the recent past at the IAA, but let's touch on each of these. On impact, it talks about the supranational relationships, which you were just alluding to. So what organizations does the IAA interact with, and to what end? What's the goal in having those relationships?
So the goals are many, but they are all to support the sorts of things that individual associations would also be keen to achieve. So, we are looking to, because we are an association of associations, we need to be focused on things that our members want to do. So key supranationals for us are ones that affect our associations. So the obvious examples to start with are the International Association of Insurance Supervisors and the International Organization of Pension Supervisors, because they have a major impact on the work of actuaries. Both of those really important organizations need to hear from actuaries, but they don't want to hear from 20 different countries separately. They want to hear a single voice. So we need to engage with them to ensure that the actuarial voice is heard. And that's important for our members. We also want to engage with other organizations that are affect the work of actuaries. So another very obvious example is the International Accounting Standards Board, the IASB, where accounting standards massively affect the work of actuaries. So we want to engage with that body and make sure that actuaries are driving actuarial thinking in accounting standards and not accountants. So this is making sure that the voice of the actuaries is heard. But then there are other organizations, and I would include the OECD, the World Bank, the IMF, the WHO, World Health Organization, the United Nations, where it's about engaging with them to ensure that they are aware of the expertise that we can bring to problems, that actuaries are capable of having a really important voice in solving some of the world's problems, whether that's most topically pandemic related and COVID-19, or climate change related, or simply looking at things like insurance protection gaps around the world, or some of the United Nations SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Actuaries have got a role to play, and we want to make sure that we're heard on the world stage. That's important, not only for the work that we're currently doing, but for the future development of actuaries globally.
Well, and I know the IAA has also been, they've been doing quite a bit as it relates to climate science and climate change. Is the IAA interacting with any of these organizations as it relates to some of those initiatives?
Absolutely. So the IAA has been at the COP22 events and other big international climate change gatherings, and our voice is being listened to, because not only are we the ones looking at things like the incidents and changing patterns of weather, but we're also looking at how you can mitigate the impact of some of these things, from flooding through to hurricanes and other damage that climate change can cause.
And I'll throw this out there now. We haven't touched on this, but people might be surprised with everything that you just threw out there, and these organizations where the IAA has relationships with. They might be surprised to learn that the IAA actually has a very lean staff. So the people that are interacting with these organizations, those are coming from the volunteer pool of the IAA. IAA does not have professional staff that's actually the liaison. It's volunteers, right?
Absolutely, it is. And you asked earlier about volunteering or looking to join the IAA. The IAA is always encouraging its associations to reach out to get volunteers. So we would be reaching out to the Conference of Consulting Actuaries and say, we want some volunteers to help sort of fill this task force to do this. And we're doing that all the time. So another way of getting involved in the IAA is to go along to your own association and say, I'd love to volunteer for some of the work that the IAA is doing. Can you consider me for one of the task forces? We've only last week sent out an email to all our associations asking for volunteers on 3 new task forces.
There you go. Yeah, no, I think that's an important point for people to realize. Yeah, is that there are opportunities that, as an individual actuary, if there's a topic that someone's passionate about, there's an opportunity for them to get involved with the IAA through one of their associations.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah. All right. So we touched on impact. Let's talk about Assure, which is the next part of the IAA's mission, which is the promotion of the profession. So how does the IAA support the development of the profession worldwide? You've touched on this a little bit, but let's talk about it a little bit more in depth.
Okay. So some of this is about supporting new associations in different parts of the world. And we've got a number of committees that work to support associations in Africa or Asia or South America, looking to try to, where the local association is still quite new, help them develop and help them build up competencies. And that's partly around education, so helping them develop appropriate syllabuses, maybe working in universities and other education establishments, maybe working with other partners to deliver education, but helping on the education side of actuaries. And then another area is also around professional standards and helping associations develop appropriate structures of professionalism. So we have a number of standard professional or sample standards, shall we say, that we produced in a number of areas, which other associations are able to use and implement within their own work. So it's in those sorts of areas that we support other associations.
And again, I'll point this out as well. When we talk about the IAA being an association of associations, there's kind of two tiers of membership among those associations. You've got full member associations and then associate member associations, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between that FMA or that associate membership level?
So it's a journey. So people start out at the associate level before they become a full member, and to become a full member, there's a little bit more criteria that they have to have established in terms of having appropriate professional standards and education. So somebody might join as associate member as they're beginning to establish and build a profession in the country, and then when they've got appropriate structures in place around the education of actuaries and the professional standards of actuaries, then we can admit them as a full member of the association.
No, that's excellent. And then let's talk about the last part of the IAA's mission, which is advance, which is around the development of competence. Talk to me a minute about the types of projects or initiatives that the IAA has undertaken or that are currently in process that help to promote the advancement of scientific knowledge and skills within the profession. We mentioned climate change was one.
So yes, none of these will surprise you. So the current things that are taking up a lot of our time are climate change. We do quite a bit of work around pandemics and modeling the impact of pandemics in a post learning from the COVID. There's also a lot of the traditional areas that we do quite a bit of work in and sharing, whether it's insurance or pensions in our very traditional areas, but then developing areas like banking, where in some countries banking is not a big actuarial area, but in other countries it is. So one country can learn from another about banking. Then, I think very hot on all of our agendas at the moment is AI and machine learning and the future of what that's going to open up for us. So looking to develop some ideas and thinking and share stuff around that. We've just kicked off again, this is linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We've just kicked off a task force looking at water-related risks, which are many and varied, from too much water to too little water, or water in the wrong place, or water causing natural disasters by floods or droughts or whatever. It's one of the UN's key areas of focus that actuaries have potentially got a lot to say. So we're looking at pooling what knowledge and expertise there is around the world and sharing that, and then developing things from that, both to help individual associations to learn things, but also to help our engagement with supranationals, because if we're able to pool information on what's going on around the world in a particular area, that's of interest to the World Bank and the OECD and many other organizations. So, we're constantly looking at things that will both be of value to our associations, but also be of value to the other organizations that we engage and have relationships with.
I mean, it's quite the mission that the IAA has between those three different functions, and hopefully what what our listeners have been able to take away from this is that there's quite a bit of value at the global level in what the IAA is trying to do, both from a professional development standpoint across the globe, along with working with these global organizations on problems that truly are global in nature.
Absolutely. And because they're global in nature, it makes sense for them to be tackled globally rather than for lots of different associations to tackle their bit of the problem. We can add more to society as a whole if we pull that and tackle it as a global profession.
Yeah, well said. Well said.